Hey folks, in this video I want to show you how to sculpt scale mail armor. Here you can see my Patreon exclusive miniature and it has a lot of scales on it. You find more information about it in the description below. But some of you asked me how I sculpted those scales, so I decided to make this little tutorial video. I will show you 3 different methods to sculpt scales, and we will practice this on a little lid or top of a cup. And you can see me here mixing the putty. I use milligreen, that's a mix between green stuff and milliput. And I mix it very carefully, and it takes some time to get it real good mixed together. And so I took some time lapse to speed the process a little bit up. So for the first method, we will take the putty ball and push it a little flat onto our surface. I use my thumb and then I use a silicone shaper, a chisel shape one, to flatten it out and to get rid of the fingerprints. Okay, now you have a flat surface to work on. Since it's only for practice, it can look like a little blob. We will take our sculpting tool. The wax carver here is called wax 5 or Zale, and it's a dentist wax carver, and we cut in horizontal lines in the same distance between each other. Between these horizontal lines we will cut in the same direction from the bottom, from top to the bottom, little squares at the same proportion, or nearly the same. And when we finish the step, it will look like a little flat tile, like tiles on the ground or something, which are shifted a little bit between and not exactly over each other, placed on the ground. And to get rid of this flat look which we achieved here, we will use our other sculpting tools. This one is a ball-headed needle, to push the edges a little bit up. That's a good way to get a little more depth into the scales. And we will do this not only from beneath, but we will later use other tools to drag the putty from the top of the scales down, so that we will get a more overlapping look of single scales. Here we can see me dragging them already a little bit down with the wax 5 again, a little bit more, these scales are a little bit bigger, and you can see me pushing it in the direction from the bottom to the top. And that's the quite important part here. Cutting in different angles, lifting the edges up and dragging the top down, so that you can get the illusion of scales. This looks already a little bit better, but I use different tools now to sharpen up the edges, to get a little bit more depth into the upper parts, and lifting the edges again, so that it gets a way more three-dimensional look to the scale. After I used my beer to get a little bit more shape into those scales, I will switch back to my ball-headed needle, and I will take the bigger end of it, the bigger ball, to round up the edges which are pushed a little bit in here, to give the scales a little bit more rounded look at the edge or the bottom. This way we will get a little bit more realistic look, and yeah, it's just not necessary, but I think it's a good way to give it a little bit more illusion of scales. So once we finished using the ball-head needle, I will take the beal again, and with the beal tool we will drag a little bit more from the top to the bottom, so that we get in the middle of the scale a little bit of rounded up area, and this also enhances the look of scales. Yeah, so it's now you can see this first method finished, and as you can see, the scale's a little bit bigger, but it's a good illusion of the scales we wanted to sculpt. Now for the second method, I use a different approach. Start again, flatten out the putty, and then I will use my self-made custom tool for scales. Basically it looks like a tiny fork. It's made out of milligreen, which is covered the top of a toothpick, and I cut in the shape of a flat and dull fork, and I push this little fork into the putty, and as you can see I can push it with an angle like about 45 degrees, and we will get a little bit of tiny scales, and these scales are already at a certain direction to each other, and it doesn't look quite as good as I wanted to, so I use my sculpting tools again to work out the shapes and to make it a little bit more detailed and clearer. The first thing is I use the wax 5 to cut in the horizontal lines again, and then I will use my ball head needle to work out the scales. Now this tool is actually used for sculpting the chaotic champion, which you saw in the beginning and which we will see in 3D on a 3D spin on the end of this video. And I use this method for sculpting the scales on him because it's much harder to scale on a 3D miniature. And I think this tool is very helpful for this. So yeah, you can see I reworked the shapes of the scales and it's look much better. Now we will need only the wheel tool to drag from the bottom to the top, and then we will have the illusion of a very nice scale mail or scale armor. And I really like this method, and it's speeding up the process, and because I use my custom tool, it's a little bit, it has a little bit more mechanic look. It's the distance between the scales are more exact and more clear, and I find it, yeah, it suits the look a little bit better. So as you can see here, this is the final result, a fast result without working it too much afterwards, and sculpting again about the details, and you can see it compared to the miniature. This is the method I used for miniature in 28mm. Last but not least, I want to show you another technique you can use, and for this one you would make like putty sausages, and you put these sausages on top of each other so that they have a slightly overlapping look, and you use this method to build the horizontal lines, and you don't have to push the edges too much because they are overlapping already. This is also a very great method to do this, but it's a little bit harder because on a flat surface it looks a little easy to sculpt, but if you do this on a three-dimensional miniature, it's harder. And also sometimes you get problems. It could be that you have too much putty and that the armor gets much bigger as you intended in the beginning. So after we have put these putty sausages on top of each other, we can now use the wax file to cut in again horizontal, not horizontal, but from the bottom to the top lines, so that we get the illusion of scales. And as you can see, it looks already pretty good. So we only have to take our other sculpting tools again to work out shapes of the single scales and to lift up or push down the edges. Here you can see me using my ball-headed needle again, which is very good for this. So yeah, the look of the scales is already pretty good. wax 5 again to lift up the edges a little bit more. It's always a good strategy to improve or enhance the look of the scales. And then the last step, we will take the build tool again to push from the bottom to the top to get the scales even more in their round or slightly rounded look. So yeah, this is the third and last method to sculpt scale armor on two 28mm miniatures. And yeah, you can see it looks already pretty good after I use the beer. Here again I use it to sharpen out the lower edges again, and this helps the look, to increase the look already. And in the last step I will show you it compared to the other miniature, the miniature I made. So yeah, let's see, compared to our Chaotic Champion, and as you can see it looks quite similar. You would use more sculpting time, of course, to rework the shape a little bit. This is always a little bit sketchy. Every method I did for this video was a little bit sketchy, so when I work on a miniature I take definitely more time to rework the details and the shapes. That's it, and here you can see the scale armor on the finished miniature in 3D, and it looks pretty cool, I think. And with this small tutorial you can try to sculpt your own. Yeah, thanks for watching, and if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and yeah, comment on it. And if you have any questions, please put them down below. Thank you for watching.